Alright, welcome back. So we're gonna check on the distance scale and the depth of field preview. We're gonna talk about the specifics of this camera, which is something really cool. You open this the bellows, you extend the bellows like that, and then you can see there's like a scales here, there's numbers on the side, numbers on the bottom. Uh, this scale right here is used to determine the film plane to subject distance. So the distance from the film over here all the way to the subject, from here to the subject, and the scale has two parts. So it has the distance scale and the focal length scale. So one would be these numbers over here, and then the other ones will be these numbers over here. The numbers on the back, it shows this place over there. There's on the way on the top it says infinite, right? And then it's just 10, 5, 3, 2, 1.5, etc., etc. And down there it shows M for meters and FT for feet, right? So those are the distance. You can see distance in there. Over here you have it says millimeters, right? So this will be the millimeters, the extension of the actual bellows. It doesn't mean anything about the camera, or I mean the actual subject or the film plane distance or anything. These are the millimeters, just the millimeters of extension of this. So if you can figure it out, okay, I extend 7 millimeters, and that will be my focal distance or whatever. And these ones are the actual lenses, the lenses that this camera comes with. I mean, well, it doesn't come with, but the most common lenses. There is one 500 lens, there's another 35 lens, but we're gonna figure out why they don't show it up here. I mean, they should, maybe, I don't know. And then down here says steps, and that's for another way of using this scale, which we will see probably in another episode, not this one. So let's say I'm using over here the 110 lens, the 110 millimeter lens, which is the most common one for this camera. And there it is, the 110 millimeter lens. So every one of these lenses has a color, right? There is a red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, and you see these lines over here. They're like red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. So we're gonna go ahead and look and just realize over there that in between those lines there is always a dot. We could probably see like around there. There's a little dot for each of the rows. So each line has a dot in certain row depending on the number. So like this bottom one has a dot right there, so that's the 50. Then the next one has the dot right next to that, the second line, so that will be the 65. And then you go all the way down up to here, and you have the 110. That's right, that dot right there. This red line that I'm not touching with the finger. So that's my distance scale. So when I come all the way down here, that means I'm extremely close. I'm probably not even able to focus that much. So I have to come all the way down here, and then it'll give me a distance in meters or in feet, of course. So let's say I look through the viewfinder, right? I open this thing, I focus my subject, right? I'm like, okay, perfect. I see a focus right there, and obviously because I'm focusing with the whole open. I'm not closing this aperture. I'm the shallowest depth of field, where I cannot focus much because I'm seeing this. So as much as I can, it's the shallowest that this lens can give me. If I close the aperture, the focus would extend and there will be more things on focus. So I'm focusing on the right spot where I need to be. So let's say I focus right there, and well, let's make it like right there. So it shows me that red line that symbolizes the 110 hits this 2 over there. So I'm talking about I'm at 2 meters. So my subject would be at 2 meters of distance with the 110 lens, right there at what would this be? Where is it at? Probably let's say 4 millimeters or something like that, right? So 4 millimeters extension, bellows extension with the 110. That would be a focus exactly at around, approximately around 2 meters. So that's how you figured out what is the distance between your subject and the actual the film plane, right? So All right, so you say like, okay, what is that for? I mean, you can put or use a light laser meter or something like that. But it's actually a good thing, you know, because you're working with optics, and the distortion and everything that it include it symbolizes it. Well, it's actually working with this, the distortion of the light, the image that you see outside and stuff like that. So it's always so good to know how much you need to extend, how much how close you're focusing. Obviously your limits, if you cannot focus closer than this, or you cannot go further than that. um, that's another part of photography. Now we're gonna go ahead and using the depth of field scale. So I talked earlier about this lens being extremely open, and because it's a medium format, when you go to 2.8, you have a depth of field where if you focus in these letters right here and you go a little bit back, not even an inch back, this place already is completely out of focus. So if I'm shooting diagonal like this and I focus right on the M over here, this 7 over here, it's already out of focus. It will be blurry if I'm shooting at 2.8, you know, being very close. Obviously it depends on the distance, but let's say I want to have like a really close up, so I'm shooting the camera as close as I can, and I have it really open at 2.8, so I'm focusing on the M. The 7 will be barely noticeable. It will be really blurry because the 2.8 on the medium format is just extremely shallow depth of field, so you can barely just see, like from here to here you see the focus. So when you go down here to the 7 on the back, that's already out of focus. You have to, like, it's just right this area we can shoot. And maybe sometimes you want that, you know, if you're shooting like some flowers or insects or something like this really close. But sometimes you do want to have a little more of the product inside. So that's the reason why they're using this. You know, Mamiya gives you this scale over here. So now I know my focus distance between my subject and my film plane is 2 meters. So we're gonna jump into the lens. The lens has obviously the aperture setting, and it has all these numbers up here, right? So there we go, all these numbers up here, right? And there's this bar over here. You can see it. So this actually spins the whole way around. It doesn't change anything inside the lens, but it does clip. On one side it has meters, right there, from infinity all the way to 8.0, and on the other side it has feet from infinity all the way to, what is this thing, 2.75. That's what it has. So we're talking about feet right there, right? So we're gonna go ahead and work with meters, because it's the one that I was looking at, and we're gonna try to center that 2 right there, right in the middle, the center right there. We'll see. Yeah, there we go. So we got this 2 aligned in the center. Now you see all this over here. It says 2.8 and it says 8, 16, and 32. Those are actually the f-stops that this lens can manage, from 2.8 all the way to 32. So I can close this f-stops all the way to 32, or I can open it. And what it tells me is, this is 2 meters, right? This is obviously 1.5 meters, and this is 3 meters. So I have like 50 centimeters of each side. And it will tell me if I want to have from, let's say I just want to have like 2 meters at 2.8, it will be like really spot on the 2 meters. So if I go 50 centimeters back or forward between the lens and the focus, is going to be blurred out. If I want to have a little more focus, I'll have to go to 8, f8, from 2.8 to all the way to 8. Yeah, and that would not change that much from the 2 meters. So it will give me, probably according to this scale, probably it will give me maybe 10 centimeters back and forward from the scale. So if I have the camera here and I'm focusing something over here, and I want the whole thing to be in focus. And right now it's just giving me this 2 meters right there, and I just want maybe like 10 more centimeters. I need to close the aperture ring all the way to well, f8 if I want to have more more area on focus. So that's how the scale would work. The 2 meters are right here, and it tells you if you close to f8 or f16 or f32, you will have a plus minus gain of focus in your photograph and your scale. So this way you can realize how much it would augment your focus area depending on your distance from your subject. And that's a cool, really cool little thing, at least to figure it out, because sometimes you're shooting everything at 2.8 and you're like, I just want all the light to come in, and then you take it to the computer and you realize that you focus on the model's eyes, and then she just like turned to the side, and then her face is completely out of focus, and that's because you were working with this very shallow depth of field. And so that would be it for using the depth of field scale. Alright, see you guys next episode.